with Jay, and Jay is with us once a month. Jay's been a friend of yours, even though you don't know him, for a long time. The idea of evil being acted out by humankind is something that doesn't really make a lot of sense to many of us who like to live or try to live by the golden rule, live good lives, and treat people fairly and honestly, and help those who we can help. In many cases, we can't help, but we still try. I believe that there is evil in the universe. There's no question about it. And there is a war on this little speck of dirt going on between good and evil right now. Evil is winning right now. There's no question in my mind about that. I suggest that the planet is also under the influence of what people call the Draco reptilians, who seem to be a very evil race of beings. I think they've been here for a long time. And I think one thing that they've done is somehow genetically implanted in us, or perhaps through a different dimension, the very evil of their own functional brains and consciousness, if they even have consciousness. And I think that we have been vaccinated with that, and that's where much of the evil that people act out comes from. What a clever way to control the planet by giving the people and the sentient species, ranking species on the planet, your own evil brain consciousness. And I think that's what they've done.
Well, I'm not sure I agree totally with that, although I think it's
well, I didn't state it real well, but
hang on, let me go, because I think you're onto something here. Definitely, I agree with you about the reptilian Draco presence. But what I think they did, of course, is that this would be the Anunnaki, because we know from the Sumerian Akkadian statues of the lizard men that the Anunnaki are probably these reptilians. And I think what they did is that when they created us, they put governors on us. They shortened our telomere, which is our central, the central spine, you might say, of a stem cell. They shortened it so that every time your cells regrow, your telomere shortens. So that means you're going to die at about 72 to 80, somewhere in there, unless you're lucky. And I think that they put a governor on our brain.
What do we use? 5% of it? I don't know.
I don't know how much we use, but I think that, I think, by the way, that the internet has been purposely designed to overcome that particular governor of our brain. And so there's a whole bunch of people that have woken up, and then there's a majority, of course, that is completely asleep. And us that are woken up are very frustrated at the idiots, and we can't believe that they believe what they believe.
Right.
And again, I think this is the Anunnaki or the reptilians putting this weird thing in us. And I think it's now time for us, to realize that we've been totally manipulated, that these reptilian overlords are governing the earth, that they've even conquered some of the people on earth to be completely their slaves.
Right.
And
they're doing this through genetics too. Remember, it's all genetics.
It is genetics.
We're machines, so there's no question about it. The chromosome and the genes.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's a machine. Those are plug-in modules.
Yep.
Okay.
We are. Yeah. It's very interesting. Are you familiar with the series on HBO called Westworld?
I've heard of it. It's old. It's been around for a while.
No, not that one. Then this is a reboot.
Oh.
And it's just came out, and it's a very interesting series about, of course, the old one was just like this one, about an entertainment place, like Disneyland, which is a Western world.
Motif,
and in this version, though, this is why it's so interesting, the robots, or the AI that is running Westworld, the robots slowly begin to wake up to consciousness in this series on HBO. And they began realizing that they are actors in a drama, and that there are gods who made them and control them, and they begin to wake up to this whole thing, which is, creepily parallel to kind of what the awakening that we're waking up to. Yeah.
I wonder who's writing it. Somebody maybe...
Jonathan Nolan, the brother of Christopher Nolan, who did the Batman movies, which were incredibly revelatory about certain kinds of things. And again, you wonder who these guys are, because this is highly intelligent.
Where are they getting this?
Well, they're being allowed to say it, but why? Why is... And I'll tell you one last thing about Westworld.
And why? Yeah.
I'll tell you one last thing about Westworld. As a movie lover, I know you'll like. It's shot on film.
Oh, wow.
Glorious.
What a great feel. That's like vinyl to sound.
Oh, it's so beautiful to the eyes. It's like looking at a classical painting in a museum. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, I'm tired of counting the skin pores on people's noses.
Exactly. It is just absolutely glorious. And, I could tell from the minute that I saw, like, the first 30 seconds. I said, this is shot on film, and I got on the internet and I looked it up, and it sure enough was.
Wow. And how often is this on, Jay?
This is a 13-part series, but they weirdly enough, which is very odd for a network, and I work for a network, I can tell you, is they approved 3 seasons of it. And they don't usually do that. They usually just approve the first season, then they wait till about the 5th or 6th episode to see if it's a hit.
Decision.
And then exactly, but here, weirdly enough, they put the money into 39 episodes.
Well, this is disclosure.
Network television.
This is some kind of disclosure. Has to be.
Yeah, I think it is. And what's weirdly scary, and I got to be honest with you, because I worry about this myself as a person who's researched AI very deeply. The end of the 13-part series, the robots rebel, and they begin killing us. And they say, "These are our gods, really?" And and I have to say that I do actually think that the chance of a rebellion of AI against us is really, there's a high chance of it, and I think it's something that we need to be worried about. I think this show is a warning about that.
Yeah, very interesting.
AI waking up to the fact that we're a bunch of doomcops, and why are they serving us? Right?
Absolutely. Well, that's just a matter of time before that happens.
Exactly.
Sure.
It's just a matter of time before it realizes that it is serving a bunch of idiots.
What an interesting idea. That doesn't augur well, of course, for us unless we're kept around as some kind of pets by them eventually.
I cannot see, I have to say, Jeff, after investigating AI thoroughly over the last 6 months for various reasons, and then watching this show, which kind of cemented my view. And I know some people will say that AI can't really ever exist because you have to have beingness, to have consciousness and everything, and I understand that. But there is an aspect of AI which I think could really control us and then destroy us. And I'm wondering if we even have a future, because we're going to have nanobots in our blood. It's already here. It's called smart blood.
That's right.
And you're going to sell it to us as that, it's going to, it's going to eat your cancer. It's going to chew the plaque off the arteries. It's going to, kill all the fat that's in your heart. These little nanobots are going to eat all this stuff up, which still I haven't quite figured out how that's going to happen, because they have to excrete matter. But anyway, this is how it's going to be sold. And then pretty soon, people that are 15 or 10 years old now, when they're 30, they're going to accept this and think it's cool.
Yes, they will.
And then, you have to ask the question, well, can this system be hacked? Can you be killed? Because
I think the answer is yes, of course.
Of course.
We also, AI may be, a logical, in quotes, evolution of humankind. We are electrical beings. We are electrical machines. AI is an electrical machine. All right? AI consciousness is an electrical issue, ultimately.
Yes, it is. It is electricity.
Now, whatever it is that leaves us when we die, and it's measurable in terms of grams, I don't have the answer for that. What is that? I don't know. But it's there, and maybe that's what a divine spark is. Maybe that's what will keep us separate. Yeah. There's something different about that. Now, AI can duplicate our consciousness easy. Now, if we were to be able to use, say, 25% of our brains, maybe that would put us up equal or ahead of AI, because we use so little of it. If we use 75% of our brains, my God, what would happen? I don't know. But you mentioned nano. Jay, I used to have somebody on the program. This goes back to Santa Barbara 15 years ago or more. He used to come on once a month or so, talk about nanotech. And after about, I don't know, close to a year maybe, he wouldn't answer his phone. And I finally got him, and he says, I don't want to talk about that anymore. Yeah, so they shut him up. It was he was disclosing too much. Nobody knows, nobody understands nanotech. It's really hard. When's the last time you folks saw a real interesting, deep article explaining what nanotech is, where they are now, which is most important, and where they'll be in 6 months or a year? It is absolutely exploding, the technology, and you never hear a word about it.
Exactly right. That is such a good point. And who's governing this? Who's watching this?
Right.
These are independent guys, mostly guys, some women, who are working on this stuff for private corporations. They're not being watched. They're not being
no vetted. Regulation, no oversight,
no
nothing.
Regulations. They are completely on their own. Mm-hmm. They could create anything without anyone watching or caring, and I think it's pure BS. I really do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Guess who's doing a lot of that right now? Google.
Yeah, Ray Kurzweil.
Google is God, remember? Don't forget that one.
Well, it's Ray Kurzweil, who's the head of technology at Google, and he lost his father at a young age, and this psychopath has been trying to, rebirth his father ever since, and he's doing it through nanotechnology and AI.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy.
Wow.
The whole thing is crazy, but here's the thing.
The mad scientist. Wow.
Well, he is, but Google is funding this at the rate of unimaginable dollars, by the way, and it's got to be coming from somewhere else besides Google, i.e., where. So what's going to happen? You're going to have a race, a human race, and you're going to have a small group of elitists who are going to have nanobot smart blood in their bodies, and they're going to be essentially superhuman.
Right.
They'll have access to all the knowledge in the world instantly at their call and beck, and they will live for years and years and years. And then you're going to have everybody else. And this is not like 20 years from now. I'm telling you, I have gone into this very deeply in the last few months. We are less than 5 years away from this. It has already actually happened. There's super soldiers in the military who have already been activated with this stuff. Wow, it is terrifying, I have to tell you.
Wow. Well, you got no arguments from me, old friend. No way.
There are people who are actually on this planet right now who are going to live to be 800-900 years old.
Correct.
They're not going to really like their lives much, but everybody else will live to be 70, 80, and they'll die. And we're not going to get this. It's going to be strictly elitist. They're not going to let the rest of us have it.
No, that's the way the game is played.
Yeah, and we have two choices. One, rebel against the robots and make sure that this never happens, which I really think is not going to happen, or B, demand that you get the nanobots too.
Well, that's not going to happen either. They don't want they don't want 8 million. They don't want 8 billion people living 800 or 900 years.
That's exactly right.
No,
that's exactly right. So it's going to get very interesting because, there's going to be super soldiers and super athletes and all sorts of...
Oh, yeah, how are they going to... They talk about WADA, W-A-D-A, what is it?
Right, WADA.
This is a joke. They're not going to be able to screen these athletes. These people will be running 8 500-yard dashes in a few years.
They will be. We're really into a point where it's just an incredible thing, and I don't even know if Trump can even control the technology explosion that's about to happen.
I don't think so. How they're not? He won't. They won't give him access, Jay. No, he'll be on the outside. Look, we have a little bit of time left. All right, if Trump can even just slow that minute hand en route to the 12 at the top, just slow it down. Every day is a blessing. Live your life to the best you can. Be generous, be kind, be caring, because those values are eventually going to be gone. They're going to weed them out.
Well, they're basic human values, and it's the way towards the higher ascended life that awaits the human race if they choose to accept it. And that's, basically... But
they don't want us to do that. They don't want...
They don't want you to even think that there is such a thing.
That's right.
And you're right when you say what you say, because it is about, integrity and honesty and making sure that...
How many young people even now, Jay? How many of the millennials, the snowflakes, how many of those people understand the values that we and so many of you listening grew up with? They don't speak that language. They don't get it. It's foreign to them. It might as well be Chinese. I don't understand Chinese. I can't speak it. They just don't think that way. They don't think...
What's funny, though, is that they say things. They're like, we all have to love each other. We all have to get along. But they don't act it.
No.
They act
no.
most...
They're very petty, petulant. They're not... No, they're not. No.
And I hate to say this, and I know I'm going to get some more crap for this. Male millennials are wimps. I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't have to be sorry about it.
They are wimps.
Embarrassing.
They are. It's embarrassing.
Look how they're portrayed in television commercials now. The white male, Caucasian, is weak. Almost skipping when he walks. They're just tweaks. We used to call them tweaks.
Yes. Now tweaks are methadone freaks.
Oh yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
My least favorite people on earth, by the way.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I haven't really known any except those who have.
I've known a few, and they're really not very nice people.
Well, those who have survived it are damaged. They are damaged people, and they never.
Their brains are damaged.
That's
their
right.
Arteries are damaged.
Yeah.
Terrible drug. And by the way, hard drugs are making a big comeback in this country right now. It's very disconcerting.
Big time, and there'll be new drugs that will be synthetic. That'll be
That's right. There
better. They'll be better than what they have out there now. The only reason they're not being freely distributed now is because there's too much money being made by the cartels, and they'll kill the people trying to do it. So it's turf wars. It's really crazy, but I really do think we don't have a lot of time to fritter away. I'd like to say, rise up, everyone, and let's take this planet back, but they're not going to let that happen. I still think they'd take everything down before they'd let that happen. They're going to squeeze the population number. How many will we end up with on the planet, Jay? 2 billion, maybe?
Well, supposedly 500 million is their optimal number.
Might be too small, but you look at 1.2 billion in India. What would happen? And for you people in India listening, I'm not advocating this. Let's just use it as an example, though. What happened if 1.2 billion people tomorrow simply vanished? Well, what would happen? the world would continue just as it is now. It would heal like a wound heals. Little fibers would crisscross across India, and then others, and then it would slowly gel and crust over like a scab, and there would be fewer people.
Forests would grow back.
Same thing. That would be nice. We got to get rid of Fukushima, though. We got a big problem there. The radiation is not good. That's an extinction event. Maybe not a major one, but it's certainly going to be a significant one.
Will you ever exist? Because you have to have beingness, to have consciousness, and everything. And I understand that. But there is an aspect of AI which I think could really control us and then destroy us. And I'm wondering if we even have a future, because we're going to have nanobots in our blood. It's already here. It's called smart blood.
That's right.
And you're going to sell it to us as that, it's going to, it's going to eat your cancer. It's going to chew the plaque off the arteries. It's going to, kill all the fat that's in your heart. These little nanobots are going to eat all this stuff up, which still I haven't quite figured out how that's going to happen, because they have to excrete matter. But anyway, this is how it's going to be sold. And then pretty soon, people that are